me open Major Shah also, who's joining us on the broadcast. Major Shah, now like Ambassador Goel stated, the resignation of the cabinet ministers can also be taken as a sign of unhappiness within the government as well. We know that curfew has been enforced after the emergency in Sri Lanka, but after that also Sri Lanka's opposition party, the principal opposition party there, staged an anti-government protest. Now of course it is more than politics at this point. There is genuine disagreement within the government. Do you think this new cabinet can somehow do the impossible and bring Sri Lanka out of the crisis it is in right now?
Pastor Goel was absolutely right. Firstly, it's very difficult to say because what is it that the new government would do which the previous government could not do? Right now, the priority is to get Sri Lanka out of this mess. And India has given $2.4 billion as a bailout in February and March. And we are doing our best. And in fact, the economy, you can see it's been shrinking. And the signs, early signs was noticed by everybody actually. So now it is about how this new government is going to actually tackle it. Now, when the president hasn't resigned, so both the brothers, in fact, both the Rajpaksha brothers, the Mahendra Rajpaksha and Gotabaya Rajpaksha, they are very much there. And I'm not sure whether they would resign or not. And when you have new cabinet or new ministers being sworn in, what is it that they will do? I mean, nobody's indispensable at the end of the day. Even if new members come in, will they be able to lead it in the same way which other countries lead it to? No. First, the damage would have to be controlled in a large way. And after the damage is controlled, only it's like when you start a business. You are first in debt, you take a loan, then you break even, and then you start building it further.
Absolutely.
It's like Japan, which rose from the ashes. It was totally doomed. It rose from the ashes. Similarly, Sri Lanka is in such a deep state of crisis right now that it is actually not impossible, but very, very difficult to actually get Sri Lanka out. There's not a single dose of paracetamol available over there. There's shortage of milk, shortage of fuel, shortage of electricity, 13 hours of power cut. They are in bad state. And let me tell you one thing, Aarti, the new government cannot come overnight and let miracles or magic happen overnight.
Absolutely.
As a matter of fact, it's very, very difficult to say right now, but let's hope for the best for them.
Absolutely. Major Shah, you spoke about how, in fact, the Rajapakshas are still in power. Major Shah, now, of course, is this a desperate attempt to regain some amount of power? But of course, no matter how much the Speaker calls it unconstitutional, it is just not, there is just no understanding over how a no-confidence motion that was not a surprise, that was not sprung on the National Assembly, that was there and discussed and being built up to for a week, suddenly becomes unconstitutional. Major Shah.
Very nicely brought out by you, Aarti. Very, very nicely brought out by you. See, on 8th March, the no confidence motion was announced, which means as per the Constitution of Pakistan, under the Article 54, when a no confidence motion is announced, when no trust voting is announced, within 2 weeks the voting in the parliament has to be held. Now, the seats, before it got resolved yesterday, the seats in the Pakistan parliament were 342 seats were there. So, which means 2 weeks, which means if you calculate from 8th March, it's 22nd March, the voting should have been held. But then they had the OIC conference, the Organization of Islamic Conference, so they delayed it to 24th March. Thereafter they said one MP died, whatever, then they further postponed it to 28th March. And then they further postponed it to 3rd of April. And 3rd of April, Imran Khan comes with a Sunday surprise, which he said, a surprise is waiting for everyone. Now, again, as per Article 224, he can remain in power. First, earlier it was that, okay, for 3 months or 90 days, he would be in power as the caretaker Prime Minister. But now, under the Article 224 of the Constitution of Pakistan, he can be in power for 15 days, for next 2 weeks plus 1 day, that's 15 days, until a caretaker Prime Minister is announced for Pakistan. But now, who will take care of the caretaker Prime Minister, since the leader of opposition or the Prime Minister is no more there in office? So there is no head in Pakistan. There's no premier there at the moment currently for all practical purpose. And you see what happened in Sri Lanka. Poor leadership. Here again in Pakistan, poor leadership. Sri Lanka is drowning. Pakistan is also going to meet its fate worse than Sri Lanka actually. And there will be no, today at least there are countries to help out Sri Lanka. India has given a solid bailout, $2.4 billion bailout in February and March already. Who will bail out Pakistan? A country who is not ready to give them loans. So Pakistan is going to have a very, very tough time. Now, as per the Article 5 of the Constitution of Pakistan, Imran Khan and the Deputy Speaker, and with the approval, with the advice of the advice and the approval or given to the President Arif Alvi, it was dissolved. Yes, they're all right, fine. Now they are in for troubled times. They are in for further troubled times. Imran Khan, who's been a cricketer, great cricketer, and he gave out such a surprise, rather a shock. No one had even anticipated or expected that this is what's going to come out. 2 days back, he was to address the nation. He delayed the address. So who is known for giving out the surprise? I would call it in simple terms as a maverick. He can do anything. He can really, I mean, he can surprise everyone. And yes, this was to extend. Now, what will happen? I will tell you. Now the deputy speaker. Now there is today or by tomorrow latest, because there is a serious law and order problem in Pakistan. So the Supreme Court ruling will come out. Now the Deputy Speaker Mohammed Qasim Khan Suri, who was sworn in 2018 with a landslide victory. In fact, he was sworn into as a Deputy Speaker who has had a very good track record, all right. But if it is termed illegal or unconstitutional by the Supreme Court, which has the power to shoot it down, then what will happen? The opposition will do a case thereafter on Imran Khan as per Article 6 of the Constitution of Pakistan, and that could be a serious problem for Pakistan comesoever. Now, whoever comes over in Pakistan, whoever is the caretaker Prime Minister, or thereafter a fresh election would be held, whoever will have a lot of challenge will have to clean a lot of muck in Pakistan, which has already been created, Aarti.
Right. Major Shah, now of course, crisis after crisis in Pakistan. This is not the first time that a no-confidence motion has sprung the entire country into a spiral. Now, the people of POK deserve better. The people of Gilgit-Baltistan deserve better. The people of, in fact, entire of Pakistan also deserve better. Your thoughts on this?
Absolutely, Aarti. You are bang on that. And you know, my heart goes out to people of Balochistan, Gilgit, and you know, people of POK, in fact, why not? For humanity's sake, people of Pakistan as well. What is their fault? Why should they have to suffer on someone who's been a failed leader? You know, when I can give you a small example. When I was serving in the army, and we would go out for operation with my platoon or with my company or with my quick reaction team, and anything that would have gone wrong at that time, I would take responsibility on myself. That I am as a leader, as a team leader, it is my fault. If something would go good, would go well, I would move aside and I would say my team has done all the job. They've done all the good work. But failed leadership in Sri Lanka, failed leadership in Pakistan. Sri Lanka at least has people to bail it out. But in Pakistan, Imran Khan, just to save his chair, he's put the entire nation in trouble. But yes, one thing I have to give the devil its due, that Imran Khan dared to do something which to 19 prime ministers overall Pakistan has seen. Overall 22 tenures, because Nawaz Sharif saw 3 tenures. So 22 tenures, 19 prime ministers, not a single prime minister in Pakistan has dared to lock horns and take on the military head on, take on the Western powers head on. Imran Khan at least tried that. Well, until you attempt something new, until you come on it, people will laugh at you. But when you succeed in doing it, people will say, oh, I knew it from the day one. He would really do some wonders. So it's the same case with Pakistan over here, with Imran Khan over here. But unlikely, the chances are very remote that he would succeed in his endeavor. It is very, very remote. But at the same time, he has actually caused further trouble in Pakistan, a nation which was already battling corona, which was already in debt, which was already, there were civil wars in the Sindh province. Our military came and picked up an IG, police. Look at what the opposition talks, such trash about their Prime Minister. I mean, it is really that the country is in trouble. It's already in the grey area of FATF. Imran Khan lands up in Russia on the first day of the invasion, and he gets himself clicked, and the entire international media sees it. 2 days back, General Bajwa condemns the action of Russia into Ukraine, condemns the... So they were never on the same wicket. On
Right.
6th October 2001, when General Bajwa gave out a notification of the DG ISI to be changed, General Faiz Ahmed to be changed, replaced by General Arjun Parvez, Imran Khan sat on that notification for almost 4 weeks. He did not sign it. And another one more mistake he had done was when he went against Shahbaz Sharif, the leader of opposition, initially. So the military, which had helped him come into power because he lacked numbers, so military said, okay, we will. And irony is, Imran Khan, who gave a 3-year extension to the chief of the army staff of Pakistan. So now the same chief wants him out. So is what, anything can happen in Pakistan. That is Murphy's Law, I would say, or whatever. But Imran Khan definitely has put the entire country in great peril, I would say.
Thank you, Ajay Verma and Major Shah, for joining us and sharing your thoughts on this story.